Welcome back, and this is part 2 of my intro for you to Gravit. Now, just as a little refresher from last time, now that I've imported my image, I can direct select it with this little tool right here, and then move over to opacity, where by pulling it and bringing it down, I make it increasingly more transparent. And I'm doing this because I want to trace over it to create my vector art. And while I want to use it as a template, I don't want it to be so high in contrast, so bright that it sort of distracts me from recognizing the new work from the old, right? So now, when we work with vector art, it's going to be a little different from Photopea in that while you are creating layers, this is done automatically. You don't need to make new layers. Every line, every shape you put down is going to be a separate manipulatable layer, right? Let me show you what I mean. So up here, which remember are our tools and are super helpful because if you hover over any of them, a description of them appears if you linger long enough, including videos that you can click on to watch and learn more, so that you can essentially get a little more of a taste of what is available to you, what resources you have, even if I don't cover it in class. These, in essence, are your refreshers. So feel free to linger over them. But know that these little down arrows next to each one also provide you with further options. So here, for example, you see a pen, like the nib of a pen. Click there and you get freehand pencils. Click here on the pointer and you get different options as well. Okay? But what we want to do right now is choose that pen tool, right? And if we linger, bam, we get that little tutorial video as well if we want. So feel free to click on the learn more. To select it, I'm now going to zoom in right here with my magnifying glass once I've got it. And before I start tracing over it, I'm going to lock this layer. So you know what? Before I start drawing, let me go back to that little arrow cursor. I'm going to select my image. And right over here, when I linger over the layers, you can see the little familiar eye icon appear like we saw in Photopea. Clicking it off will shut the eye and make it disappear. And then this little lock, which when clicked, locks the image in place because I don't want to change it at all. I want to draw over it on a new layer. Then I'm going to grab the pen tool. Now, this is where it gets a little weird. So when I draw, I don't work freehand anymore. I work with points, as you can see right there. Let's back up. Drawing freehand would look like this. And you can see because it's vector art, it auto-corrects behind me and creates these really slick, smooth lines, right? Now, I can draw by hand, but it's probably going to look rather inorganic, very awkward, and probably a little jittery, even with vectors helping me. So I'm going to go to the pen tool, click once to create a point, then whenever I pull it, it's going to drag a line behind it. When I click a second time, I'm going to hold. I'm not going to release. I'm going to click and hold on my mouse. And then when I pull up or down, you'll see a curve appear. Now, that's me manipulating the line. And this might take a little time getting used to. The further I pull away, the more shallow that little curve becomes. And you can see I don't have to get it perfect. I'm going to try to line up as closely as I can with my original sketch and connect those dots. Because when I do, it now is a complete object, a shape. And over on the right, I see the option of fill and borders. And if I click on that circular color, well, I can change the color inside that shape. Or the border, I could just change that color to whatever I wanted it to be. But I'm going to take the eyedropper tool, click on my red, so I get rid of the lines altogether, and I just get a nice clear red, right? Okay. So the thing is, though, as we noticed, it wasn't exactly perfect, and I can manipulate it from here. So I'm going to bring the opacity down again, and let's zoom in. I can use this direct selection tool to select the object as a whole. Or when I click down, I can also use the sub-select to manipulate points of my tracing, or to create new points by clicking on that arrow and then bringing it in, or tugging on these little areas to make that curve more shallow. That way, all my objects can line up with the line art.